Alrighty, my camera's not up apparently. There we go. Hello everyone, welcome to the DPL Winter Major 2022. You guys already know me, at least some of you. My name is Boxy. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am joined by a fellow here, by the way. It's, I think, his first time casting DP, at least officially.
Yes.
So, yeah, how you feeling, John?
Great, because we're supposed to be a main duo, and hopefully we will be able to get another best of three series done after this one. But let's talk about the matchup at hand. It is going to be LCG versus the Gnomes here, and we actually have the matchup already set here. And wow, we're getting the new tile set of Factory
Oh
already underway. We
no.
know the guy who actually created this. It was Donut, I believe, to be, or had a major impact on this tile set being made. And already we can see the plan phase being underway from it here. What are your thoughts on this tile set, Boxy?
It's painful for my eyes, honestly. We've had a very long discussion about this particular tile set right
Yeah.
before we went in here, which is like super interesting. A bunch of teams mentioned playing this particular map in screams in the last 2 days, I think.
Mhm.
So I don't know, maybe some of them are ready, but it's such a weird, outlier to how the rest of Factory is played that I really don't think we can predict anything here.
Yeah, I did a little bit of theory crafting with some of the players on GB, and almost everyone can agree that you should almost always have someone set up near the red fan area, and then either try to go into green if no one's holding it heavily, or try to go through the red door into storage. Dock is really challenging to actually face and forward, and with the lack of presence here inside of server farm, we have a huge emphasis for the attacking side just to waltz right on and through, and then they have that player with the saber stepping up into fan,
Oh,
so this is a pretty straightforward take so far by LCG.
yeah, we do see Mace with the mob kind of there in the back holding the fan, but the Saber is on the other side of it. Also, Smoke just coming into Toxic. Lewis gets to that's Lind and Kuko both taken off initially. Great entry there, and now they just need to play time. A minute left. Smokes go out, and people are just taking damage all across the board. Admiral Crunchberry on 15 HP, Toxic even less, and it's all up to El Pablo and Crunchberry to clutch it out. Actually, just Admiral or Pablo.
Yeah, La Pablo here, up beside the green door, will actually end up backing away. That's probably the best option here because he has that grenade that could be very useful later on.
They can get the
And
Saber as well, I
right,
think.
he can obviously pick that up. That's what Toxie is indicating towards him, that he can go and retrieve that possibly. Could be a bit challenging because Mace is holding that fan quite aggressively all the way in the back with the mop. And that was one of the big issues there for LCG, was the fact that they swung fan before they really
Oh,
cleared
oh,
out anything properly. A little bit of gunfire going in underway, but Pablo is luckily able to retrieve the saber and keep that nade in pocket. So overall, not a horrible way to start off round number one, despite the fact he did lose it, but it
oh
happens. Oh,
no.
they're going for a
Oh
run out
no.
actually.
Oh
Oh,
no.
he doesn't get it though.
Oh,
Nice
that
try.
was close. And then Index dies to the goose. So, eco. At least Louis saves them up. And on the other
Right.
hand, on the other side, we have Pablo with the saber with the grenade. It's super unfortunate that you get into a match, the first match of the major, and the first map that you get is this new tile set that can completely throw you off. I'm pretty sure most teams will not know how to properly attack or defend this, at least not in the beginning. I think they really need to play some rounds on it before they can figure it out. So, kind of unfortunate to really start it off with this, but it is what it is. And, the first round goes to Gnomes.
Yeah, another big issue with this new tile set of Factory is how easy it is to set up barbed wire, because most of the tile
Mhm.
set, you're going to have to funnel in through just those really tiny walkways. And even when you're on top of like the railing of that walkway, you're still going to get encountered by that barbed wire. So if you don't have a lot of destruction, such as those nades to take care of them, or just an early man advantage, you can funnel yourself pretty hard as an attacker. So that's honestly a pretty strong tile set for defenders, so long as they're defending the right positions at the given moment.
Yeah, LCG had the right idea. They brought the grenades, they brought the smokes,
Mhm.
they knew they were going to use them for the smokes even went out. The grenade got saved by Pablo. But they never quite got to using those pieces of utility just because they all got taken out before that. But round two, let's switch from us to round two so we can see what we're gonna be seeing in the next round as we're already quite deep in the planning phase. And it looks like it's gonna be a beach castle split push, apparently. Both snipers did get saved. So, there's that.
And they
There's
did also eco as well, so they
Yep.
have plenty of charges to use, so this is not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, last map is a C store, at least for this split, meaning that, they can afford to double blow there if they just kind of use the one here, which is probably what they're going to end up doing. Lights play is possible, when you kind of push out of beach, especially if you double blow castle as well. You have control of both castle and beach, and it's really easy just kind of funneling into the pit and turn off those lights. Maybe a pretty hard map to defend, but all has to go right for the attackers while taking beach and castle for them to really, lose lights.
Yeah, looks like there will be a pretty big emphasis on capturing the lights here. So playing for the fallback for the gnomes is probably going to be a huge thing. It looks like they'll opt to go for an aggressive style into base.
Hmm.
That's something that the Gnomes has done from time to time, so that doesn't shock me overtly, but it is a huge make or break, and yeah, I think Lewis is actually gonna try to fall back a little bit deeper, so that barbed wire will be there for an audible queue, but maybe they'll just go for a long angle to try to contest instead and just hope that someone's gonna get caught in that barbed wire for an easy pick. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we'll see. We've also seen Mace do some parkour. I thought he was, going to try and get an angle on the rock. He was just kind of throwing the flare around. He still is. But there you go. Breach comes out. Also, beach push slowly but surely happening. And who do you think is taking the matchup? We were kind of, rushed in the intro. We couldn't really do anything. We couldn't predict. We couldn't talk about the teams. Who do you think takes this? At least the first game.
I mean, LCG definitely look like the underdogs, but maybe they could reign on top here on round number 2. It looks like they'll already get a bit of early aggression into pit. Index is still holding quite effectively,
Oh,
but not for that much longer. Lind will get that first blood, and Castle is now completely in the hands of LCG. They could maybe utilize those tars and maybe the Saber as well to get some nice long shots on players such as Reptar, because Mace can't hold that angle into Castle just yet until he pivots around a little deeper in the back of Ruins. He'll end up doing just that. So you've got that first pick. That's great. You slowly have base control, but Lewis is still playing close. As long as he can waste some time and get one pick, that'll be massive, and he'll do just that. It will be a swift refrag, though, by Kuko, but you still have that map control. You're slowly working your way up. It's now going to be up to that late game position here,
oh,
and losing your mop player, that is massive for LCG. It's just Nog left alive here on such little HP, and he's bound to just get swarmed, essentially, right around jungle. It's only a matter of time before that happens. This already looks to be a round win in the bag for LCG.
yeah. There's really not much you can do here. Just kind of, play exit frags, kind of damage your opponent's utility and their weaponry because, like you said, 10 HP, you're in the water, you're moving, you're making so much noise. They're just, not salvageable. But technically, he would only need to stall for 20 more seconds. That will not happen. He gets taken off. Kuko gets a second one. And there we go, 1-1. A dead tie so far. LCG, like you said, they did take this, and it was way more convincing than their factory push. And I think just factory, that particular map being such a wild card, I think that really threw them off in the beginning. But I don't think we should count them out. I do think after
No.
3 games, I do think Gnomes take it. But I think LCG are going to put up a hell of a fight.
I think the main driving point of LCG for winning that round was just how easy they had it in terms of isolating picks there.
Yeah.
We saw Lind getting that first blood. No one was at the top of castle, no one else inside a pit, so there wasn't any terms for a refrag or a double swing. It was just a quick wraparound and a
Hmm.
first pick there. And then they just continued that onslaught. You always had LCG stacking up bodies. So even if they lost one player, they have a big potential of refragability. And because you're that attacker with 150 HP compared to 100 health, as long as you do a little bit of damage in that first gunfight, you should be able to get that refrag. And that's something you can always play for, especially when you have that man up. So, really great passivity by LCG, just abling to or being able to just get a pretty clean round win here in the early Barts, and not allowing the Gnomes to really get away with any shenanigans too early on.
Yeah. And like speaking of excuse me, speaking of passivity, that is the one thing that I've really missed from Gnomes because when it was a 3-4, when all the right part of the map was already secured by LCG, their attack, we
Yep.
had 3 players of Gnomes left. One was on a Gruber, and then the other two one on an Ingmar and a Mob. And the Ingmar and Mob died first because they were swinging across the beach, across the castle, and that's how they died. If they just waited out, if they let LCG push them, they were a man down, but they still had a fighting chance. But losing bodies, like you said, one by one is not really feasible. But it is what it is. Round 3 and C store comes along with it, and this is quite a standard C store, I would say, because You have some really weird C stores every now and then, but this one I think is pretty
Mhm.
normal. We can see a double blow. That is what we'll see. So we can blow out storefront, we can blow out freezer. Probably no lights play, but the lights location is actually super interesting. It's extremely close to green doors, and that could also be capitalized upon. But I think going for those green doors is kind of a death trap. The long angles from arcade, all the angles from storefront. I think you're better off just double blowing the bottom right side and going from there.
One of the big things I almost always talk about for C-store is, yeah, you have that one giant area of storefront, but then you have all these smaller rooms you normally need to bout with as an attacker. So it can be good for the defenders to either bring really close quarter weapons to defend certain areas like freezer or bathroom, for example, even a full auto. This time around, though, we're not going to have the gnomes bring out that full auto just yet. And for the attacking side of LCG, they even have a mop here from the attacking side. They were able to pick it up on that last round. So being able to open up shutters with that wall breach is going to be phenomenal because they could just sit there in the back of the map throughout the entire round and probably get some type of pick when a defender tries to go for some rotation. And again, we saw what LCG can do when they get
Oh,
that first pick and just play a calm game of refrags. But unfortunately, Toxic just runs in by himself, expecting there to be less pressure inside of Freezer, but he guessed completely wrong. And now we have the Gnomes take a huge advantage here as we have about a minute 20 left on the mark.
we also hear a bunch of sniper shots coming out. Both the mob and the saber are just shooting relentlessly. And there we go. Pablo finally rotates around and goes for the green kick. There's no one really contesting him. Index is an arcade, but he's playing very passively. And we can see LCG just kind of faltering. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to push. They've lost the man advantage and they've used a bunch of utility. Kuko gets one, but El Pablo is super close to Reptar, and that could be super dangerous if he doesn't check his corners. He has a
Oof.
nade as well that he needs to use before it's too late. He gets mollies thrown at him though, so I guess he's stalled for the time being. And gnomes are just super good at wasting the time right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that knack player near Bathroom was not able to get a wall bang in time. That could have been a huge refrag, but at least we have these power positions still being held. Reptar, very nice frag, manages to find
Oh,
two on the round as well before being refragged by Crunch. Make it two now for the attacking side, as things are completely even, but there is a huge lack of intel and a lack of time. We're now down into the one versus two with Lin with the mop in the back of storefront, basically in a crossfire. This is completely lined up here for the Gnomes to take this. He tossed out a bit of util, but the nade is not close enough to shut down Lewis. We're still in that two versus one, and he has to try to bait the defuse because he's on such little time. Even if he gets one pick here, he'll have to be caught on the reload and be forced to switch to that secondary weapon, and that could force for an easy swing. Lewis will go early, but it doesn't really matter because it's a mop in a one versus two in medium range confrontations. That's going to be a second round here for the Gnomes.
yeah, it's so first of all, props to gnomes for just wasting as much time as they did. You saw them get the entry pick and they kind of,
Yeah.
just play their lives, they played their utility, and LCG just didn't know what to do. At least it seemed like that. They didn't know where to push in. We've seen El Pablo rotate up to those green doors on the left top side of the map, and then he pushed in, and again, he didn't know what to do. He was kind of you could see he was storing. He was kind of like going right and left and right and left. He couldn't quite commit to one
Mhm.
push. And Gnomes just used all of their utilities so very effectively. They've wasted the time. And then also Lin being the last person alive was extremely unfortunate. If it
We got Laboxy moment. You're gonna
Oh
expect a lot of
no.
these ones, chat, unfortunately. You can continue, though,
Ah.
because, of course, with, due process, you get a lot of downtime, so you can actually
Sure.
repeat what you're gonna say.
Am I back? Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're
I
back.
was saying that it was just super unfortunate for Lind to be the last person alive, because if he had any weapon that
Mhm.
wasn't the mob that doesn't take 7.5 years to reload, he would have stood a fighting chance. But with the mob there, I just don't think it's feasible hitting two people that have a crossfire on you with 15 seconds left and the bomb that needs to be
No.
defused. But there we go. We're back to Ugly Factory. And that is what we're calling it now. This is the Ugly Factory.
I mean, it gives you a lot to talk about. Yes, it's not a very competitively viable map, but you can tell Donut really put his heart and soul into this. So you got to give credit where credit is due, and it is unique. So it does force teams to try to strat and really think outside of the box. The only problem is that this map was released basically the day before the major started, and not many
Mm-hmm.
people were aware of this. So it really is a big shocker to a majority of teams that weren't, purposely scrimming it beforehand. So for the
Mm-hmm.
time being, this is going to be a very defender favorited tile set because the attackers have to go to you. on that switch, that's a no-brainer, and again, I talked about how easy it is to get yourself caught in a funnel because of that barbed wire, and there is a pretty decent emphasis, sorry, by the defense to try to just allow those, just funnel-esque kind of setups here, and honestly, for this defensive hold by LCG, I kind of like it because they have that big emphasis here on green door, but what are your thoughts on this hold so far?
Well, I do wish that we would see more barbed wire because, like you said, it's so
Yeah.
those walkways are so very narrow, and we only have one barb there. Like if you place at least one more, it really forces the attackers to funnel and to use either nades or just make a lot of noise while moving through it. And so, yeah, I think there's very little barbs. Other than that, there's also very little presence in pipeworks. I think if I were gnomes, I would have maybe one more person. Actually, I guess Linda's there now as well, so that's fair. Kuko pretty aggressive on that event though. I think that's either going to pay off huge or just get him killed instantly.
Well, I feel like at some point you're gonna have to have an attacker rotate around, but only having the APs and then a single tar, potentially not. Maybe it'll be just a really big push in towards server room. They're not gonna use that nade just yet because gnomes they're pretty aware there's a high chance there's gonna be one or two more barb sets in a more impactful position than just that green door. They'll have to trudge through that first set of wire, and now they'll wrap around into storage room. A lot of the map now being engulfed here by blue, a stun comes out. No one's playing that close to the green door, but at least that position has now been basically confirmed that it's for free here. No first pick coming out just yet, and the fallback by LCG is really forcing the hand of the gnomes here.
Yep. Also, we've seen quite a few people in gnomes just kind of get lit. They took those initial gunfights, but lost them, lost a lot of HP, and they had to fall back. Tox extremely low. So is Lind. Now Raptor also loses some HP, and Kuko gets the entry onto Nog, and it's looking up for gnomes. Once again, the smokes are coming out though. There's a bunch of dilly being thrown. The barbed wire is cleared. Admiral Crunchberry gets one, gets taken out in a refrag. Toxic gets one of his own, and it's all up to Mason Index to clutch it out. Index and low HP finds the first one. Toxic is also just one shot, but Pablo gets one of his own. It's all up to Mace to try and clutch it out. It's not looking good, but he finds the first one. He's out of bullets. He needs to reload, and the time is running low. El Pablo and Kuko just need to play passively, but Pablo swings from the office. Kuko finishes the round, and that is a 2-2 tie from Gnomes.
Well, that was a pretty
Yeah.
rough round to witness here. Yeah, defender favoritism. I think that will be the key phrase of this new factory tile set
So
because yes,
okay, sorry for cutting you off, but the
you're
one
fine.
thing that I think you need to mention, like you were already talking about how it's defender favored and how there was so little utility brought by attackers and just like APs on a black tar. I
Yep.
think both teams just kind of saw this map and said, "Oh my god, what is this? Let's just eco this. Let's save our resources for rounds 2 and 3 because we know what to do with it." There, I think both
That's
teams
fair.
because they did the same thing. Like LCG on their attack, they did the same thing as gnomes. They just kind of
Yep.
really saved the utility, saved the guns. We saw two black towers, a grenade that ended up being saved, and that was pretty much it. So I think it's just like kind of they want to use their utility and their weaponry and map style sets that are familiar to them, and Factory was not it. So I think it
Yeah.
was kind of a throwaway round for both teams. But 4-4.
That's a pretty fair point to be honest. That does make some sense when you put a little bit of extra thought into it. Yeah, just hard funnels there on that last round. That was brutal to witness. Hopefully here on Killdome we won't have that happen. We didn't witness a lot of funnels in by I believe it was LCG on their attack on the last split.
Mhm.
But that's because they were just granted just 1v1s basically or 1v2s favoring them. So if we have extra aggression performed by LCG on their defense because they realized what went right and what could have gone wrong for them when they were attacking this tile set, then maybe this could be a 3-2 split favoring them going into that last defensive round before we technically go into the second half. But I'm not 100% sure as to what they want to do. They have some barbs set up near castles, so that can let them, hold on to that one key position for a while longer. So I think they'll try to go into what I was mentioning a few moments prior, but I could always be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time, of course, Boxy.
Well, we're both learning the game. You
Yeah.
obviously we're gonna make mistakes, but I think we're doing a decent job so far. But for the defense here, I think as a defender, you really need to hold that castle because then you have overview of lights, you have overview of anyone pushing from beach. Beach, I think, is
Yep.
unholdable here. There's really not much you can do. You can have like a few long angles from jungle, from ruins, but that is it. On that, I think you leave beach and base to some extent alone. You just kind of hold castle hard, jungle hard, and you play around that. And there we go. Beach kick comes out, but actually the other flow is
Huh.
going to come in bottom jungle, which is an unconventional push, and it's going to force attackers to funnel in through those doors. But on the other side, LCG probably didn't expect it. That is not what most teams would go for, and maybe Gnomes, excuse me, are playing for that element of surprise. Maybe that's the thought here.
Yeah, I was gonna theory craft about maybe seeing a top ruins push instead of going into castle, because then you remove that one key location on the map, and that could also give you ease of access into base. There goes the first stun though. The rush has been confirmed by the gnomes, and they're basically just in the smack dab middle of the map essentially. They haven't found a pick up until now. Mace will neutralize out Kuko. They're trying to flush out the long AK player. They'll do that quite successfully. The tag team is in full force. A 5-on-3 off the rip, as that red door play up near the top of ruins honestly threw off LCG completely off guard. Now they have to funnel into the castle doorway, and Mace is in a key position inside of Swamp to deny that. Finds 2 on the round, and there's basically nothing left to do here. They'll try to save the op here, but Lin will get shut down
Nope.
immediately by Mace. A flawless round here by the gnomes to prove a point that they know what they're doing there on Kill Dome.
I really have to hand it to Gnomes there. Like, we were talking about how crucial castle is for, the
Yep.
standard beach and castle push, and how crucial it is just holding that control, keeping control of those lights, of that light switch. And then LCG, or sorry, Gnomes just threw all of that out the window. They went for that ruin slash jungle push, and it just took everyone by
Yeah.
surprise. It took us by surprise. It took LCG by surprise, and it paid dividends. And
Yeah.
we love seeing this. It's good stuff.
I mean, it makes complete sense though, because if you go to castle, you still have to worry about the top of ruins.
Mhm.
So why bother clearing through all of castle, then pit, and then still having to worry about beach when you can simply just go into ruins near the red door, and then you can be backed up by your base players that have already cleared out beach. It does make sense when you put some extra thought into it. So that was a really good read by the gnomes. And like you mentioned, got to give credit as due. So you get a nice pat in the back by me. I'll pretend that I was the gnomes there in that situation. And now we get to go
Okay.
back to C Store with, it appears to be the same ideology by the gnomes. Let's just hope that they can execute this strategy better than what LCG did, because they really let themselves get isolated quite early in the round, especially by their one attacker who just ran into Freezer expecting no one to be playing there, and he just got smoked.
Yeah. So, people aren't seeing it yet because it's still on our faces.
Yeah.
There we go. Now,
Now they
now
will
they're
though.
seeing it. But there we go. Same push. Like you said, the wall charge on storefront, the door charge on freezer, pretty much the same thing. But yeah, like you said, LCG just kind of got overly aggressive. They lost, I think it was Toxic or Kuko Toxic, I think, who just died
Mhm.
early on pushing solo. And then also El Pablo went on his own and died on his own at the top of the map. So if Gnomes can just stick together, I think they got this in the bag. But also the green doors there above, I don't think are to be underestimated. I think that could be a very solid push, especially if if you're Gnomes and you're trying to do what LCG doesn't expect, which they have obviously done last round. They didn't go for the conventional play; they went for the play that no one expected, and that's why it ended up working. And maybe that green is not a horrible push either, but they know better, and they will do the default 2-3 split. It is what it is.
Yep, it simply is what it is. Must be nice being you. Anyways, we'll have to witness the ordeal of what gnomes will be bound to bring us here. They'll kick open the green door leading into shed so they can try to actually clear out freezer. You've got toxic playing by themselves here with a molly barb and also that full auto, something I talked about
Alrighty.
earlier. They'll go for that molly. They can now play close. A run will be attempted that
Wow.
will lose a bit of their HP early on, but they'll be able to throw the barbed wire down. Now a nade has to be expended. Toxic has already burned through a lot of utility and
Oh my
time here.
god.
That's a pretty massive play, and he actually might be able to kill Index if he ends up just funneling himself into the unloving arms of Toxic. He'll get aggressive. Down goes one.
Oh,
Looks for a second, and he gets it.
oh,
The full auto
no.
play worked out perfect perfectly for the defensive side of LCG. And honestly, Boxy, the Gnomes have no idea what just hit them.
He left Nog on 1 HP as well. It's all up to Nog and Reptar, and they're both so extremely low. Reptar also on the Saber, not exactly a clutch-friendly weapon when you're just being swung by 4 people at the same time. You know, it is powerful, but it's still hard to contest multiple people with it at once. And so 1 minute left, and Gnomes just have nothing to do there. The only person missing any HP at all is Toxic, but he's already done his part. He's got a double. He lit up a triple. And now they just wait. They have no mollies in pocket. Only one flashbang on the side of Gnomes, though, but I still think this is a very easy LCG round. There we go. Push is coming in. El Pablo gets one, and it's all up to Raptor to try and find the refrag, but it gets taken out by Pablo for a swift double at the end of the round, and a 3-3 half.
That was brilliantly played by LCG. I mentioned it briefly of if you have a full auto, you can play in those smaller rooms of C-Store and get away with a lot of dumb stuff. That was a perfect
Mm-hmm.
example. Toxic threw out the molly, that burnt some time, and then he's like, all right, now I can think about how I want to actually play in this scenario. He gets aggressive. He wants to close that space, throws a barb, again, to waste through some vital utility, and it forces an easier choke for that full auto player to digest. That also gives his teammate time to back him up. They can double up, and it worked out perfectly. The stars quite literally aligned, so that was huge. And now we have to go
Yep.
into the second half on completely even footing. And honestly, Boxy, I bet a lot of people were not expecting LCG to do so well under one of the better teams here at DPL, but I mean, they're giving us a hell of a show right now.
Yeah. Pretty much I was talking to, I forgot who it was one of the higher level DPL players, and I was like asking them, how do you think LCG will do? How do you think, other teams will do? And the answer that I got was, depending on how much LCG have scrimmed and how much they've played recently, they could do really bad or really well. And it seems that they have, put the hours in, put the practice in. They do
Yep.
kind of work in tandem with one another, which is super nice. On the other hand, Gnomes, like I still think they take this after 3 games, but we got to keep in mind they did go, and
True.
I don't want to like I don't want to undermine how LCG is doing well, but Gnomes have lost a player like a day before that, and they have lost another player like 2 weeks before that, so they are kind of just having Nox sub in now.
Mhm.
Not optimal. Probably didn't get much practice in, but it is what it is. And I think, given that they're also holding up really well. But like you said, LCG kind of is really the surprising team at the moment.
Another surprising thing, we've got the full auto back in play by Toxic. So again, you can try to utilize the small parts of Bank, but that's less apparent in comparison to a map like C-Store. So normally you have to kind of rat inside a vault,
You'll
which
have to,
basically
though.
confirms like a 4v5 or a 5-on-3 early on because you have a double stack inside a vault and they're closing the door as well. So this is a really big commitment, but it can work out. I think the big thing for LCG is not only working those picks, but wasting a lot of time because Bank is a very time effective map simply by that you need to clear out any
Mhm.
room that has that switch and also clearing out the area where the vault itself is, like accounting or manager, for example, and then getting rid of the players inside a vault itself.
Yeah, I really want to wrap back into this, but let's just get into the action now because it's probably going to start happening soon. We do have the Gnomes player just on main one, or actually two, excuse me, already dropped into manager. The flashes are coming out. No one contesting that quite yet. I don't think they're aware of 2 players in the vault, one in lobby, one in loans, and then one in tellers. So they kind of need to start pushing in. There we go. Smoke's coming out. Very nicely placed. They literally obstruct all of tellers. And now it's all up to El Pablo to find at least one pick, but he's not looking in the right direction. He sprints, gets taken off by Nog, and that is a swift entry for Gnomes. Admiral Crunchberry wastes Mace, though. So it's a 4v4 for the
Yeah,
time being.
Crunch. It's not being dealt with
Oh,
properly. He
oh,
runs right into Nog, though, unfortunately. I was just going to talk so highly of him. We have Kuko, though, and I'm not too sure if the Gnomes are actually aware that anyone was playing in Tellers or if they just default cleared it just based off of habit. They have the switch opened up. They'll have to deal with Toxic and Lin head on here, but a Molly will actually keep them at bay. That could allow for a flank by Kuko, but he has to be very quick on this one. But Reptar's just
oh.
waiting. He's got that cross established. Oh, no flank allowed. They just need to clear out the vault itself at this point. Toxic up close with the full auto will get a double kill now for Toxic, and the Molly will allow him to sit back, reload, and catch his breath as well. this is just fantastic playstyle, and so much time is being burnt. Another Molly gets thrown away. If Toxic can find a third here in this power position, there might not be enough time to actually get that defuse
No.
down. Lin swings wide though, and that's not the right play. Lin got too confident in his own gun skill, and it costed them the round entirely. The commitment almost
Oh
worked out here for
no.
LCG, but just barely not able to do it in time.
Yeah. Okay. Really quick, before the map is over, let's just take another look at it. The reason that Gnomes had two people, or excuse me, LCG had two people involved, is because there's really no place other you can hold the bank. The button, excuse me, is in loans in lobby, and there the tellers were on the left side. They were completely sectioned off. Yeah, words are escaping me.
Yeah.
Stop laughing at me.
I was laughing
Tellers
because I
were
was trying to get
completely
water.
Okay, we're completely sectioned off. There was no way you could have anyone
Yep.
playing there and not die past maybe getting one frag. And then, like, there was really no place you could play with the button being where it is. This was just a super attacker-sided bank. And having two people involved, especially with the auto shotty, makes sense. Like you said, it was played perfectly by LCG, but the only
Yep.
thing that ended up costing them in the end was those two last swings. You need to waste 5 more seconds and you would have had it, but
Yep.
sadly, it wasn't it. And we're on Kill House, a really big Kill House. We've seen a lot of these Kill Houses come back, like with the lumberyards and stuff. When we started playing the game a few months back, you and I feel like they were kind of like out of the rotation at the moment. But now we've been
Mhm.
seeing a lot of lumberyard lately, and I'm still getting kind of used to what it means, how to play around it. Maybe you have a better idea. We'll see. But this is a huge kill house, and I am very excited to see how the teams play because we've seen some absolutely amazing frags so far. And kill house is this frag, wallbang, shoot, pre-fire map. So also Lou is saying hi chat. So
Don't -1 Nog. Don't do that. That's not cool. That or box, I can't quite tell. Anywho, funny enough, you normally end up naming the tile sets of Kill House based off of like objects. Like you got the funny astronaut guy, you got the helicopter one that EK and I commentated over as like a practice one. This one, I don't know what the hell you'd probably want to call it, except like you mentioned the lumberyard one, for example. So I'm wondering how exactly the gnomes want to attack this. I feel like there's no genuine direct way to go in on this tile set except maybe kitchen, but
this
this
checkpoint to
is
lumber seems so weird to me. This is just I cannot get like
yeah,
over at this
I
bottom part of the map.
I mean it's a lot of it lets you get set up to get ready into the map. So maybe
Yeah.
that's what gnomes will want to do. I think checkpoint is probably your best option.
Mhm.
So long as you have enough util to clear out the rest of the map, which I'm 99% sure the gnomes will have. So that's probably what they're going to opt for because I don't see a real purpose in wasting, a breach charge and a wall charge on this map, for example, when you could probably just save it for the last one. So I think it'll be just a full eco here by the attack, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a defender, you really need to like hold off this locker's door that is barbed, and then the kitchen one because everything else is super easily pushable by attackers. And there we go, like 15 seconds into the round, everyone is already inside. They're already pushing. They've already gotten half the map. Mace is the first one swinging there. Just a few wall wings coming out. They do not connect, at least for the time being. But gnomes have taken up a lot of control really fast.
I mean, but that barbed wire that we saw four people just dash through did quite literally nothing. That's a huge
Oh,
waste of
oh,
util. And here comes the early aggression. Nog gets the first one, down goes Toxic. Index will swing in tandem. And this defense is just being ripped apart here by the gnomes. They almost have full site control. The only one to stop them is Pablo currently, and he just gets collapsed upon. You've got the cutoff being held by Mace with a big AK. Nothing much you can do there. Wallbangs being attempted, but to no avail. As the defuse goes down, there's nothing much that LCG can do, despite the fact they had several amounts of utility on that round. They didn't play that properly in the slightest, and they just let the gnomes get away with a lot of dumb stuff that cost
yep.
them the round entirely.
To be honest, at least in my opinion, from like a bird's eye view, I do think both the bank and the kill house so far have been very attacker sided. But it was crucial holding those lockers doors, not just having a barb on it, because everyone just dashed through. You needed someone on the hallway to swing to actually hold those, throw the mollies, and on the other side, on the kitchen as well. Because anything below that, in lockers and lumberyard and bottom kitchen, like it was just super easily contestable for attackers. But after that, you just need to hold those off. You cannot give up control, and so that the attackers literally have the entire map covered in 10 seconds. That is not how you're supposed to play the game.
Yeah, unfortunate there. Just a little unfortunate. Uh,
Right. Are you gonna say it
What?
is what it is and shrug it off again?
No,
Yeah.
that would have been too easy. I gotta make it
Okay.
more challenging for myself apparently today. Again, there were just a lot of positions that weren't being watched properly by
Yeah.
LCG. I feel like if there's no direct way to approach a building to go for like a diffuse, then you should probably guarantee that there's going to be a main push coming in through green. And that lumberyard tile set was a great example. Yet they didn't expect that by putting up players instead, like, oh, we'll just have barbed wire and go for wall bangs. But no one was there to wall bang at all, or they just didn't hear the barbed wire, so they couldn't go for that play. So just a misread by LCG, and that's what they didn't need moving in the second half because they were completely tied up 3-3, and now they're at a two-round deficit. One more, we will see match point here on the first set, and then we could potentially see a 7-3 victory depending on how well the Gnomes can play when they go back on the defense. We're heading into factory, whole new tile set, and it looks like we'll have a double breach system potentially with, oh, I like that play. Pipes, pretty important here to get control of. So maybe that secondary wall charge could be nice, but looks like the Gnomes are still figuring out how exactly they want to push this. They can guarantee they want to go office, but they want to figure out where
Yep.
else they can play from.
Well, if that was me, like both positions are super powerful when you go for
Oh,
lights.
yeah.
But if it were me, I would blow Dock and just have my. I think
Yep.
Saber is still up in play. Yes, it is. Reptar's on it. You can have so many deep angles. You can watch all the rotates for people trying to rotate into office and help out because there's only two possible points of rotation for office, and that is like the pipes on the right side and the stairway on the left one.
Hmm.
If you blow here, in conveyors, you really need to kind of push in to see all of these angles and contest them. And once you have those angles, they're better than the dock angles, but dock angles kind of provide some security when you can just have the saber from the outside and you can be really passive with it. So, I would personally go for docks, but both docks and conveyors make a lot of sense. Office as well, obviously going for lights. It's a must here. And I don't think we'll be seeing any green play, although green is also not horrible here.
Well, it looks like we'll have the back red door be opened up. A Molly
Yep.
gets burned early on, and you can tell that that's pretty good news for the Gnomes because they still want to get control of offices. They still want to go for that light splay, and now they've already burnt through a fair amount of util, and they don't really seem that phased for the moment. They have plenty of nades here and flashes on top of that too. And I thought that was a mop, and I am correct. So they have a double sniper composition. It does suck that they can't also go for Dock in this play because having that long range capability would be massive here, but also getting
Just
control of office and having lights turned off is gigantic as well, apparently, Boxy.
Yep, just one sniper though. Reptar got taken off. Null gets a double
Unlucky.
though as an answer. So there's that. There we go. Mace also picks up the NVGs. He has both the Saber and the NVGs now. He is just going for the picks, and someone is up close. He somehow wins that. How do you lose, Admiral? You're not supposed to lose that. Kuko gets one as well, and it's a 2v3 once again with Gnomes just patiently waiting and attacking. They have a lot of time to work with. They still have one flash each, or actually two flashes and a smoke. Smoke does come out. Mace gets one, and it's all up to El Pablo to try and clutch it up. He's on the pipes. He's spotted. He gets taken out by Lewis. And match point, like you said, also a few team kills, I assume, since we're on the last map or the last round of the set. So you don't need to save
Hmm.
utility or lives. There we go. First one comes out, and now Lewis and Mace are just in a gunfight. Mace is super low on HP. Why not? Why not have some fun? But the defuse comes out, and like you said, match point. It's really all up to LCG to try and attack now. The bank was attacker sided, at least in my opinion. So was the kill house, so they could maybe bring it back. Keep in mind, fellow, there's no overtime on a game per game basis. If they tie, they tie, and then they go into game two with like a tie. There's no overtime to
Like half
determine a
a
single
point?
game winner. Yes,
Ah, that's
and then
weird.
if it takes you off. I was also very surprised reading that, but it is what it is. It's
Hmm.
it's play like
Oh,
one and then tie one.
okay.
There you go. Then they
Yeah.
play a decider map, but they can just if it's 6-6, it's 6-6. They go into game two with a tie, and yep, that could happen still. I feel like the last three maps are kind of attacker sided, especially like I said, Bang and Kill House. LCG can make it, but it's gonna be tough. We were just playing it like they should, and I cut out again, didn't I?
Only for a second. It's gotten better over the day.
I hate it here. Well, as soon as we started giving praise to LCG, they fell off, and that saddens me. I think we should just be very harsh on them from now on. Maybe they start winning again. We'll see.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna say it is what it is. Trying not to. I'm trying to better myself as a human being, not only just a commentator here.
I'm proud of you.
A lot on the line, though. Like you and I mentioned, it really does seem like LCG fell off. It also just seems like Gnomes are playing at a more methodical rate and also just as a team better off. You had rounds in the first 3 to 6 where they were kinda just doing their own thing from time to time, and it didn't really seem like they were communicating fully to get the plays down that they wanted to. And then you have rounds like Factory where you had that Saber player who set up around the barbed wire near the back red door, throwing out a smoke near the double door so he can just peek pipelines and get a confirmed kill. Like, just the little things like that really go a long way, and hopefully they can continue that. Moving into Bank, I think they're going to try to go for a similar setup here. They've got Reptar in the full auto, and they've got barbed wire set up near that vault doorway. And it's probably for the same reason, like you mentioned earlier, Boxy, there just aren't a lot of good places to hold here on this tile set. So you
Like,
kind of have to play in vault here.
yeah, you can see now, like Teller, literally, if you're gonna have someone in there, you can, but they're gonna play their life. They're gonna try getting an entry, maybe
Yep.
two if they're extremely lucky, and they're gonna get taken off. So loans, just those glass walls protect no cover. Once again, once attackers push up to lobby, there's really no way to contest it, and then security, you can throw the grenades and you can shoot through the small TSA thing that I don't know what to call, the scanner, the luggage scanner, I guess. But there's really not much
Yeah.
you can do to hold lobby, and the button is there. So like lobby's crucial, yet you can hold it. But if Raptard, this is what I was going to mention when he said he'd probably be in the vault, is actually playing in the corner with the auto shot. He's pulling an Argo. Let's see if he can make it work. If they don't clear the corners, it could very well. There we go. First volley goes out. There's no flashes wasted yet by LCG, so they were expecting it. And Toxic is looking at the right direction. He's going to flash just that. Oh no.
Yeah, but you have
Raptard?
Mace to play off of as well, though. That's the one good thing about playing here. So it kind of makes that play a little.
Not when he
They
gets
didn't
smoked
check
off.
him though. They flashed it, but no one actually checked for Reptar.
No!
He got one. Your Teller's player is down, but the
No!
full auto is too much damage to deal with. You
You're
have
not
the
allowed to
setup
do
done
that.
correctly, but you didn't check. Oh my goodness. I want to say a word in particular, but I'd rather not on my first broadcast here. Toxic swings around from I don't even know where and finally kills the full auto player. But the damage, Boxy, it's already been done. It's a 3-on-3, but they still have to clear out Vault itself. And there's 2 mollies and pretty decent weaponry. A middle AK. Index will probably play close with that Gruber. And then there's also an entire rifle on the board as well. Index may go for an aggressive swing. We'll have to now back off. The nade kills Toxic. Everything that could have gone wrong for LCG on the round they needed to win is going wrong. A molly pops off, Lin has to back up, and he loses the gunfight against Nog. It's just Admiral left inside of Manager, wondering how he's going to clutch this. He has to get lucky that someone just overextends.
They're both swinging him.
They're just wide swinging him. They're going to ego swing. It works out, but oh my god. What a headache of a round, Boxy, to see this first match ended out 7-3. Oh
I
my god.
I I'm lost for words here. I don't know what to say.
Why didn't they check it?
The flash was
They had
correct. It
it.
was literally
Yes.
like they knew where he was. They threw in the flash and they were like, "Oh, I flashed that. I don't need to check it. Fuck that." And they just sprinted in. Shut up. I don't know, man. It's so frustrating. They had the right idea, but the execution went wrong wherever it could go wrong. It felt like I don't know. It felt like that round was scripted by like CW writers, like with how bad their shows are. This is just so sad, so tragic, and I don't know. I feel
Yep.
like LCG did better and deserved better than a 7-3. I think they kind of held their own. Yes, Gnomes ran them over, especially in the second half, but I think I don't know. LCG could have at least won another round or two, and I think my camera's cutting out, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh my god.
God.
That was just a
Tragic.
whole round in and of itself. Since you said an interesting word, I guess I'll have to go down with the ship with you. It really felt like LCG just half-assed that round, to be
Yep.
honest, because like you said, they did everything right and then
Mhm.
forgot the main part of the story there. They were thinking so far outside of the box that they forgot to go back in the box to retrieve what they were actually looking for that whole time. So I'm hoping going into match number 2 that we see that change because there were a lot of really good rounds there overall for LCG and a couple of close calls as well. But all that being said, we'll go into a short little break before we get match number 2 set up. So we'll have to wait and see if we'll actually have that come into fruition or if Gnomes will take it 2-0. Stick around and find out, though. Welcome back, everyone, to the Winter Major here at DPL. If you're a refresher, my name is Phil, also joined here by Boxy, my right-hand man today. And we just saw an intriguing match 1 between the Gnomes and LCG, with the Gnomes, after the second half, taking things quite swiftly. And I think we actually have some statistics to go over. So, hey, as as you being my color commentator, Boxy, we might as well have you have a light discussion about them, as I don't have them pulled up right now. So that
Okay,
makes
are
sense for you to
we?
do it.
Thank you, thank you. Are we also pulling up
Or
on stream, by the way, just so I know how the script I have to be of what I'm saying? EK production? Yes, no.
any
There we go.
any producers,
Produce. There we go.
any
Okay,
screen
so
changers.
well, the first thing that pops into our eyes, right at the top, we have Toxic with 1200 damage, and look at his best weapon, fellow.
I can't see, the screen's really blurry, and I don't have the stats pulled
It's
up. You're gonna have to
it's
hold my
it's
hand here.
it's the auto shotgun.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
yeah, he went 7-9-3 with a 70 cast. Second up was with 1k damage was Admiral Crunchberry. He went 6-1 or 6-8-1, also 70 cast. Kuka went 7-8-3. El Pablo went 4-6-2, and then Lint 3-9-1. No really surprising stats there, I think. Looking at Gnomes, though, Mace at 1400 damage, his best weapon AP. He went 2-3 on entry, 80 cast, 10-7-6. Right behind him, Nog, who I believe is the stand in today, or like he just came to play because Gnomes didn't have other people. He's at almost 1400 damage as well. 10-7-7 with 90 cast and 2-3 on entry as well. So just looking at this, we can really tell that Gnomes are winning their entry engagements, right? And that
Mhm.
is something that we've seen how the man advantage, how the 4v5 early on can really snowball for the team that has it. And so winning those 1v1s and not losing people early is super crucial. And that is, I think, the main thing that LCG need to focus on in games 2 and 3 if we get to game 3. Apart from like also, knowing the plan but then not executing the plan. Other than that, I think there's no really surprising stats. I feel like everyone is kind of like everything I think is expected. The other worth thing to mention, or like thing worthy to mention, English hard, sorry, is that 4 people on Gnomes were above 1k damage, which is something that you don't see very often, especially in only 10 rounds. It was like a 6-6, then maybe, but having 4 people above 1k damage is, I still think, huge. And this is pretty much it.
Yeah.
I think we're just kind of waiting. We're gonna get into a match soon. I just got pinged, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to pop up on my
Yeah.
screen. But predictions slash expectations for game 2, fellow. What are we thinking?
Well, now that the Gnomes kind of relax themselves and are now ready to play with the cards they've been dealt with, I feel like they're just gonna have a much easier time against LCG, but that can
Mhm.
also be said for LCG as well, because there were some rounds that were pretty strong and they didn't know what they were getting themselves into either. So now they're expecting, okay, we can't just ego swing everything. We have to play a little more methodically. We have to kind of take from the strat book of the Gnomes and play more as a team, because once we saw Gnomes go more into that team stylization, they did a much better job overall. So that's what I'm expecting going into the next matchup. Is I feel like the Gnomes will still win it, but if LCG can adapt, they'll surely make it a pretty difficult fight to win.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love for this to go to 3 maps or 3 games rather. I'm not sure how feasible
Yeah.
that is at the moment, especially after game 1. But I would love to, see like an
Yep.
overtime or a like I said, even a third game. I think it would be extremely good. I think both teams are really pulling up here. Maybe LCG a little less so in the second half, but they can still bounce back. There's still plenty of time for them to kind of, find their groove, find their momentum, and then beat Gnomes or at least tie it up game wise. And yeah, we're just kind of awkwardly waiting here for the teams. I think we started this just a little bit prematurely. So is there anything else you want to talk about, either the teams or just due process in general? This is your first cast. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, to be honest.
Okay.
I know you mentioned you were a little bit nervous
I
Uh,
was.
but I'm having a lot of fun. It's been enjoyable. You know, if chat wants to say anything that we could probably improve on, I do not mind taking criticism. We are still waiting. It appears that they are finally in. Maybe long queue times just happened, so I'll go and refresh my page and see if I can spectate. I can. So we were correct. Only a
Nice.
minute wait. We'll finally get back into match number 2 to again see if the Gnomes are going to take this one out before we go into a third match, or if we'll have a comeback storyline abrupt here for LCG. And my screen is all wonky, probably because no one's loaded in the game yet.
I don't know. I'm just on a loading screen yet, but
That or I have to Alt F4. One or the other.
no. Actually,
God,
my
I
chat.
hope I don't have to restart my game.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in. So we have Bank Dome
Nice.
Factory and then Sea Storkle House and Bank Up. And this is another huge bank with a very interesting vault there. You're not in, right? I gotta solo this, I think.
No, my game did glitch. I'll have to Alt F4.
Okay, well
Awkward.
then, it's just me. I'll
That
try
won't
to
take
scream
long,
in
though.
my best. That's true. So, Vault is on the bottom right side. It's not connected to lobby. Lobby's pretty huge. It is adjacent to security and tellers, fellow, and the button is between
Mhm.
the two of those. Right side of the map has red doors or a red vent. Excuse me. There's no red doors apart from the standard entrance. Manager is going to be a pretty okay position to hold there, especially because once you open up the vault, you do need to actually push those doors. The one main thing to note here is that once you press the button, you cannot go to Vault from lobby anymore because the Vault doors will close the lobby to accounting doorway. So there is that. As far as the push goes, I think we could see a split between maybe even the vents here. Definitely main lobby. I don't think I've ever seen anyone blow a red vent, not even as a joke. So I don't think that's happening. But other than that, I think pretty standard take. We may see someone playing in Vault, by the way, especially because the barbs are being placed on those Vault doors. But fear not, LCG on attack already marked that spot as a grenade throw, and hopefully they don't team kill this time around, because that was super
Fingers
detrimental
crossed.
for them last time. Fingers crossed. They pulled an Argo last time. I don't know if you
Say, I am
remember.
loading in the game,
Yeah?
so we actually might be able to have me commentate this round, not have you solo cast. That would be pretty nice, to be honest.
Hey,
Hopefully,
Chad,
no glitch back to back. That would be really annoying. Uh, so still just loading on in. At least I was able to see a Kazo screen, so what you were talking about was not completely
there you
European to me. Well, nope, I'm
go.
running around as a player, so I get like a
Just
backseat view of just pushing the main lobby.
press tab or a map. It works. Like
Ah, there we
it
go.
gives you,
Ah,
yeah,
big brain.
yeah.
There we go. So I can actually commentate over this. Yeah, for most bank attacks, you almost always want to get control of lobby because that either helps you get into vault or it with an easier rate. It's just a good part of the map to control. So majority of this attack will be brought into the main entrance, and then you have Lind in the background going up in the vent and is actually already in the building as well. No one's in accounting to actually spot him out, and Index might be too far away to have that barbed wire actually be an audible cue, so he might be able to slip by unnoticed here.
Yeah, Raptor could be a problem there. There we go, they're not checking corners again. The flashes come out, but Raptor gets to swing, takes a lot of damage, but also teaches them out. Index gets one, Mate gets the second one. Nog goes to the swing as well, and Lin finally gets one and a two for a tie. 3v3 man count, but everyone on LCG is pretty low. And, that triple man hold in lobby was just so risky. I was going to point it out. I didn't have the chance. Raptor swings again. He's just relentless. He does not want to give LCG players a second to keep the Lind pushes him from the back, and Raptor barely loses that gunfight. Lind is on 1 HP now. Index needs to start pushing around. He's still holding the button, though, and then they have one person involved. I think they're in a prime position here. But Lind is on track for an ace here, although he is at just 1 HP right now.
This is honestly a really powerful position here for Index, just wasting time, going for pop shots there with that Ingmar, and he has so much natural cover to work off of as well. 30 seconds remain. We're basically in that red time here for a tile set like Bank. The switch is finally hit, but they're still looking to try to kill Index, and they're not going to be successful in that endeavor. 2 versus 1, essentially, are now confirmed. Index will finally fall, but there's basically no time left. Lin has to traverse the entire back area of accounting and then tread through the barbed wire, and Lewis is playing passive. Diffuser will start getting taken down, but there's no coverage. The spray is clean. Lin's on only 1 HP, and Kuko is nowhere in sight. Not playing together in that position was a huge error, and that will guarantee that we see Gnomes take round number 1 here.
Yeah, you could see how very confused Lewis was at the end, where he just kind of looked behind him. He was like, "Wait, is he already
Where's my
involved? Like, why is
refrag?
he? Where is he?
Where is
Where is
he?
he so far away?" He was like, "What is happening?" But
Guys,
Kuko
don't worry,
just, I guess,
security's
saving the
clear.
saber. Yeah, well, he got
I
the
don't know.
saber. He got the clacker, so we can't fault him too much. But it was kind of
Mm,
confusing. Like, we should have seen them push together. But it is what it is. Lin put
yep.
up a very valiant effort. You got a triple, almost a quad, I think. And you know, yes, first round goes to Gnomes once again, but I think LCG put up a really good fight there, and they saved the Saber, so they have it for the Kill Dome, which is also huge, right? So,
Yeah.
Pogger's moment. That was so cringy. I'm,
Only
I'm
a little
sorry.
pog because I still feel like with the saber you probably could have won that
Oh,
fight and still got the round as a win if
there
you're
was
playing
no
for
time though.
refrag. So I mean, if they played together though, they had
Look at
just enough time because we
look at
saw how aggressive they were able to get inside a vault. They had enough time. It was like 11 to 12 seconds. They were starting to dwindle down that diffuser. If they just had the player with the saber watch for the swing, they probably would have won that. So it is a bit upsetting, but that is a really like make or break situation. So going for the safer play, like you mentioned, can't fault that much, but there is always that what if, of course. Moving into Kill Dome, this is a intriguing tile set with the bomb in a really odd spot. So I'm wondering how exactly we're gonna have LCG try to get enough map control to get the bomb down. You know,
it's
jungle would make the most sense, but that's just too straightforward. So we're probably gonna have to have like that beach split along with castle, perhaps. I think that's what the attack will probably try to go for. Uh, but
look at the
I'm
lights, fellow.
also
Look at how easily accessible the
oh
lights are
yeah,
there.
lights are
That is
there.
that is the thing
My
that you've missed.
the UI
Yep.
was blocking it. I was like looking at the bottom half of jungle, so the player UI was just blocking lights, so I
Wow.
didn't even see it.
Yeah, Castle
Awkward.
there with the lights. Like, this is just such an
Yeah,
odd.
they gotta
We've
go
just been getting
castle,
really odd
basically.
maps today. You gotta go for these lights, and if you're on
Yeah.
defense, you just bring a lot of flares. You throw them on beach, you throw them in pit, and you just contest those two angles because that is the only thing you can really do here. There is no keeping, attackers from getting to lights if they want to. They already marked the flashbangs as well, so we can assume they're gonna go there. And since they only wait, they don't actually have a. Oh, they have a door charge. Okay, they picked it up last second. That could have been a very deadly miscommunication, just not picking up a door charge. But they'll just lose some time on it, and they have 4 people going there, or actually 3 rather, and 2 going beach. Pretty standard, but look at how aggressively gnomes are holding the beach. That could be very.
Wait, they threw a molly. I thought it was a grenade for a second there. I was like, they did not bring a grenade into the next round. That's impossible. They will try to go and hold beach aggressively. That's something you see the Gnomes try to do all the time, even with their main roster. And oh my god, Hellfire has been rained upon beach. That entire portion of the map has been forfeit, and here comes the fallback. You've got Mace still holding base, of course, in case someone like Pablo or Lin wants to go towards that direction, but for the most part, this defensive side is just holding down the barb area between pit and the top of ruins, and this is just a great position to play in because you have to funnel yourself in at this point. It appears that the attack have noticed this, so Toxic with the shotgun will rotate all the way around. I don't know if that's the best idea because now you have no one to defend yourself for a
He's
player in
going for the
base, which
saber.
Mace is still holding quite comfortably. Yeah, this is a, oh, go pick up the saber. Yeah, he can pick his dead weapon, but not in due time. Didn't be able to find anybody, almost died. Will managed to shut down one off screen. In the background, though, Pablo's actually winning his ones. This could be doable, to be honest, but Toxic is kind of in a precarious position, and Reptar is still holding with the mop, so it's not completely over just yet here for the attack, and now that's just Toxic alive as Pablo just got good knighted from that mop. It's now looking back to pretty winnable territory here for the defense. They have lost Nog. Mace is playing close, so he's just kind of wrapping around as hard as he can near base, just kind of dancing around Toxic position, trying to win that 1v1, but he's still wasting plenty of time. That's the big thing in this position because Raptar's still alive and he's just sitting in the back of the map basically. Only 10 seconds remain. Toxic has no time left. He's forfeiting this round to save the Saber and a couple of stuns and potentially a smoke grenade. Yep, it is a smoke and flash combo in the pocket of Toxic, which is the better call here, but that's 2 rounds in a row now for the Gnomes, and they keep them up.
Yep. Pretty clean from Gnomes once again, but at least
yeah.
the Saber got saved twice in a row, which is like, I don't know. I don't know how that keeps happening, but it does, I guess. Anyways, it was two flashes, not a smoke and a flash. It's just the UI being a little buggy. But when we were in first person, you could tell there was actually two
Yeah, I thought I
flashes.
said that.
It happens. You said
Oh
a
well.
smoke and a flash, but doesn't matter. It happens. It is
Oh,
what it is. He had
oops.
one bullet. That's why he didn't contest even the mace and base. He had one bullet left. He didn't want to contest. He just kind of, hid behind the beach thing, behind the trench, and he survived. He
Yep.
has the saber for factory now. And again, factory is such a big open map that it makes sense. And we're not playing an ugly factory, which means we'll actually see some stratting coming out instead of just saying, hey, let's take 5 APs and a flashbang and let's go in. What do we
Let's just
think in
run
terms
in
of
and
a
hope for the
push?
best. Well, you still have the saber, so you could go for a dock play. You
Mhm.
have, I think it was, say, last round we had a main push, or the round before that, sorry, on Bang. We had one door charge being used, and then last time we had a door charge, so there's only a wall charge left here. So maybe eco and then go into dock perhaps and have somebody hold maybe the top of fan too for like an
Mhm.
office play later in the round. I think that's the best option. There's no point in going for lights because you attempted that last round and you lost everybody but one player. So lights is kind of a dumb idea.
Yep.
But you can go eco, kind of wrap around, then you got backup from that player in dock to hold your long angle so you can go a little bit more aggressive. And you have that fan player as well for a cutoff in your office. That is probably the best idea here for LCG. Let's just see if they can coordinate that though moving into this last round.
I think what you do here, and this could be completely wrong, is you put one person with a black tower on the fence so they can
Yep.
aim in. You breach dock, so you have the saber player playing here for rotates, and you
Yep.
already cover so many angles. And then you just have the other three players go server, dump as much utility as possible in there, and then push out. Probably just up the catwalk and go through, take all of storage. It's definitely time consuming, but I think it can be worth it. You can also just go kind of below there.
I think I'd rather have someone watch flank there. Yeah, it's a big commitment to go all the way into storage, but like we're 99% on the same page here.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
didn't
both
see
of you
those
are
doors
rooting on the
below.
fact that
They were
LCG
covered
do
up.
that. I'm really hopeful.
Okay, so let's see. I I don't think. By the way, Chad is comparing me to Pion again. I really don't hear it, but I'll take that as a compliment. Um, there we go. Nades are already coming out, but it's just Toxic pushing green so far. There's two players of Gnomes though in server farm. Worm just retreated. He's on the doors, but Maze getting really aggro with the mob. That's something that I would do though. Let's hope he gets the kill.
Yeah, you always love to go and ego think people a lot, but I really don't blame you. It's one of the strongest guns in the game currently. That place in server farm will now be forfeit. Toxic gets in for free, and Dock has been opened up as well. So here comes the fallback. You've got a lot of players actually on fan, funny enough, and they don't have a lot really to play in that position. Admiral hits a nasty shot. Down goes Mace, which is your mop player, actually. Luckily, they get picked up, though, by Nog, so he could try his best with that one-shot weapon. Perhaps here, Flash is flying in through, trying to remove Reptar, but he didn't seem that phased. He even has backup from a player who's directly underneath the fan, so if you have a full commit and a drop down, he could maybe get aggressive and manage to find a couple of picks here. The rotate will now push into, so Fans is no longer in the pocket on the attacking side as they just try to blitzkrieg in through Dock, but so far it's not really working out for them. Good job, Boxy, on the good old internet moment here. Index still in the back of the container, finally gets taken care of. But that was a do or die position, so you can't really fault him that much. Reptar drops down off the pipes, diffuser being attempted, but there is no coverage, funny enough. A molly gets tossed, and there's a second one in the pocket of Reptar, so he could burn through another 10 seconds or so and honestly play for this diffuse, but he can't walk up into office to play for that high ground position. He's got backup. The Nomad Lewis here comes to swing. It's just Lewis left alive, but Kuko will win the fight, fortunately enough. And we finally get to see an LCG round on the board. I'm glad to hear your internet's back as well, Boxy, because I was like, huh, that silence is a little bit awkward.
As I started talking, I got lag detected in game, and I was like, huh.
Oh, no.
That's a Sachi moment right there. But like you said,
Dolphin.
LCG finally won a round. I think it was due time. By the way, when you said do something, chat went wild earlier, so there's that. They're gonna eat me alive. Um, but yes, LCG finally got around. I'm really happy because they've they've always had the right idea on what to do, but their execution has been lacking so far. And we're wrapping around to, will LCG do good? I don't know if they scrimmed enough. Yes, and at the beginning it looked like they did scrim enough, that they did prep, that they did put the hours in the game. But right now they kind of seem like they're just rusty in their mechanics, and that's the biggest problem. They come up with a plan, they just don't stick to it, or they lose their ones, and that is something you can't have happen. But we're back on this atrocious bank, and let's see if maybe, just maybe, LCG can defend it a little bit better than they attacked it.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, you kind of have to go in through lobby because there's just too much on the board for the defense if you let them keep it. There's also no great way of avoiding lobby here on this tile set. It's
Yep.
kind of a begrudging commitment here for the Gnomes to try to take apart. They could definitely manage to coordinate this so properly to get rid of tellers. You could obviously go for a smoke play all the way in the back, so then you only have to worry about the players, back here, for example, or maybe someone going for a rat play around like here or here. Because if you have someone playing security, it's going to take them 10 years to move out from the revolving doors, which is why I avoid this room like the plague, and all of you should as well inside of chat, no matter what rank you are. So this can be done, but everything has to go swimmingly here for the Gnomes. It has to come down to a pretty major mistake done by the defense, but with the fact that they're probably going to commit somebody inside the vault here, it should make that push in a lobby a bit more palatable.
Fellow.
What?
Look what a toxic is bringing.
I know. That's why I mentioned the vault commitment, because he got the full auto. Yep. Thank you for noticing. I'm very happy about that.
Bro, I love snipers, and Fellow just loves the auto shotgun.
I don't use it, but I do like watching it being used.
Argo moment. Anyways, enter round. We see 3 people pushing those vents, it seems.
Oh boy.
This is 4 people. 5 people. Are we ecoing? We are ecoing. Oh my god. This is risky. Risky, I guess.
And
Gnomes are
LCG
risking it for
read
the
into
biscuit.
this too, Boxy.
They
Like,
did. They only have Kuko on the right side. Or left side, excuse me.
what's he gonna do there? I don't know. We'll probably have to wait the other 90% of the round to be over for him to finally move away from that position. Down goes Admiral early on. You basically have accounting control very early into the round, but you still have to go for switch, and that's where things start to get dicey here for the Gnomes. You've got Pablo playing a bit close here with the mid AK, trying to play around that barbed wire. A sun comes flying through, so Pablo will have to do that pretty successfully. He's got backup by Kuko as well, but he's very far away, so he'll have to wait a lot of seconds here. Nog will push around inside of Tellers. No one's still dealt with Pablo just yet. He's been burning through a lot of time and can finally retreat and now trade places with Kuko, essentially. But there's still enough time to hit that switch. However, they need to win these gunfights against Kuko or Pablo, or else this round is basically killed for the Gnomes.
Yeah, also keep in mind there's still 2 LCG players in the vault, so while they have taken out both Pablo and Kuko, so Nog gets one, Maze gets the other one, and they have pressed the button, and Nog barely makes it through. Oh my god, there is 2 people in there, and one end up mattering as Raptor gets one, Lewis gets the other one, and that is another round the Gnomes shouldn't have won, but they somehow have.
I mean, again, we talked about this last time, Boxy. Just the unnecessary aggression there by LCG. That was completely uncalled for. I'm not 100% sure if they flashed, if that's why they needed to swing out aggressively to make sure that your full auto player doesn't die. But I think they had a molly as well. They could have just mollied the barbed wire, and then that would have given them time to burn. Yeah, they still had mollies. Nog has 2 of them in his pocket. Like, they had the util to make sure they had stuff for anti-flash. So I think the pressure was just surmounting. Yeah?
Yeah. When everyone died, there was 30 seconds left, which means if you pop those mollies, you literally have enough time to, you just waste time, you chill, and you have the auto shotty playing there as well. LCG always put themselves in a place where they have the advantage, and then they somehow end up throwing it last second. And it's so infuriating because, like I've said multiple times before, they have an idea. They have a solid idea and an understanding of what they need to do, what their win condition is, but they do not know how to capitalize on it, how to, I don't know if it's just nerves or the fact that they haven't really been playing the game as much lately, but it's It's so infuriating. On the other hand, gnomes are just running through them. They have people fragging left, right, and center, and it's showing. Winning those ones wins you the rounds. It's not always about the big brain.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Moving back into Kill Dome, we're gonna have to see if we have the gnomes potentially try to go for just only a single charge play. I think they're gonna try to replicate what the defense wanted to do or what their opponents wanted to do last time because they're probably gonna go for a double charge play on Factory. I think we can almost guarantee that now because they ecoed on Bank.
Yep.
So get control of Beach, go into base. That's pretty straightforward. The tricky
Castle as
part
well.
is probably, yeah, is gonna be Castle. I think that's almost a guarantee. I'm wondering how well Nog can use those mollies though on this round and potentially the next round as well because he has two in pocket, can probably just dump them out and then use them somewhere else. I'd
Hmm.
like to see at least one in play though because that's a great way to stop rotates or just flat out kill somebody that can't move from a key location.
Yeah. The thing is, both Factory and Dome are super wide maps, so there's no really those narrow rotations besides like maybe Pit or something. At least on Dome. So I think if I were him, I would save both for Factory and just kind of throw them in on like Office, on like
Okay.
Dock, just whatever you end up blowing. Because I still feel like Killdome, both are huge maps, but I still feel like Killdome is even more open in some ways. Um, so I do
Mhm.
think he saves them. He is bringing one, at least Mace. Actually, yeah, Mace is bringing one. But we'll see, we'll see. I think Castle here, they need to go for lights, but they only have. No, they're going below. They are actually going for low. They said no. What are lights? We'll have 2 people each. We'll have 1 or 3 people push
Oh,
jungle.
they're going jungle.
And it seems that at least at the moment, LCG are kind of ready for it. They have 3 people there. El Pablo is playing for the blow, and if he doesn't get flash, he could be hard to deal with. But also they spot him. The molly comes out. And Ingmar, by the way, he's playing an Ingmar, which could be super risky. There we go. He retweets just a little bit. But also the mop up there in top ruins is kind of risky as well. Especially when he's not looking in the right direction. Entries come in left, right, and center. Nog gets one, he gets refragged immediately. Raptor gets another refrag on top of that. Bodies are just falling. Raptor just pushes up relentlessly. They just keep getting the frags. The flashes are coming out. Raptor switches to the pistol. The kick comes down from Toxic, but he gets taken out as well. And it's all up to Lynch with the mob to either save or try and clutch it up. It's a 1v3. He gets the first one, but the bomb is being defused. 50 seconds now. Raptor just playing safe, just snapping the bomb.
Oh! Oh!
Nope.
Not able to hit enough shots to the gap though, unfortunately. That was the LB5. I couldn't quite tell from that angle.
Yep.
So, again, we had LCG just forget about Beach here, and that allowed the team play to swing in from both jungle and also base. They just collapsed on the players inside of Ruins, and they went for a pretty easy defuse. Then the Mop player had to fall back. Something very similar happened last match as well when we saw that different kill
Yep.
dome tile set as
You're
well. So
right.
really good job on Gnomes for realizing that that was a huge issue for LCG last match and then just repeating it moving into this tile set as well. I almost would have thought that we would have had a lights play on that round, but again, just good on the Gnomes for realizing, yeah, it's a big risk to go for jungle, but once we get control of it, we can kind of just do whatever the hell we want. And again, that's just what went down, and they got a free round because of it.
Off meta gnome off meta dome plays seem to be what gnomes are really good at. Like they have been going for pretty
Yeah.
much default stuff on other tile sets, on other maps, but on dome they just keep doing this random stuff that no one, including us, expects, and it ends up working every time. And I'm not sure if it's because like A, the element of surprise, and B, their superior gun skill at the moment, or if it's just they're really good, they know what they're doing. Could be a combination of both, obviously. But we're back on this large, large, large factory. And what do you think we'll see? Wait, why is
Probably
there?
just what we were going to have last time was what LCG attempted, except now that we have two charges here, you can have fan completely opened up. You can drop down, play around near this goo area and also the barrels, and probably cut off this pipework position. That's pretty damn good. You can go for a free defuse if you already have full dot control over here. So if no one's
Keep in
playing that
mind,
container or if you're to kill them, yes,
sorry for cutting you off. I keep doing this. I know, my
you're
bad.
good. You're good.
Keep in mind, they did not use NVGs. They can go for lights. They have the double charge,
They
which means
can.
they can place one person on the fen or one person on the dock, whatever they choose to blow, and then they can go for those lights, and they're super easily accessible. And it seems like LCG are kind of reading into it. The barbs are being placed there. Also, someone, I hope, jokingly placed one, or at least like
Don't
indicated
do
one
that.
on red doors. I hope that's like a late barb or a meme or whatever. Probably the first one, the former. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But I think LCG are kind of reading into the lights play here. The question is, will Gnomes actually go for it? We've seen them go for stuff that we didn't expect for the off meta push quite a few times, but I think this is the time that they actually go for lights. They have the saber, they have the NVGs as well, as far as I can tell, and
Don't.
yeah.
Yes, go fan. Say, I hope they don't go red door because they don't need to go for lights. In all honesty, that's a great frag though by Kuka with the Ingmar. So that fan position not being fully pressured out. There we go though. Kuka finally dies. If you get full control of
Oh,
this back area, you have a cutoff angle right here. That Mace, I believe, actually drawed out as well. You need to have office cleared out as well, though. Big grenade, not for the bar, but instead for Admiral Crunch. And now it's basically Toxic left. He managed to spray it on one with a suppressed goober. So he's still, or Gruber, sorry, not the goober. He's not a goofy goober just yet. Maybe he'll get some more frags and we'll have to consider him to potentially rock on out. But it's a 2-on-3. This play has actually fallen apart at the seams because they didn't have anybody go around and dock. They just all pressured out Fan and just kind of tunnel vision themselves. But they rotate around at just the right time and narrowly catch out Pablo. He'll manage to survive so he can fall back with some natural cover. He'll get completely blinded here. Lin is trying to watch at the top of pipes, but can't get the refrag in due time. Mace, the last alive, will shut down Lind. It's just a 1-versus-1. Toxic swings out wide, though, and he wins the confrontation. Barely scraping away at that victory, but still, a win nonetheless is a win for LCG. And Gnomes, like I mentioned, they just hard tunnel visioned on that round, and it kind of costed them.
shaking my head. But
SMHing
yeah,
right now. SMH by head.
SMHing. Absolutely SMHing. Finally, LCG win though. I feel like going into the second half 2-4 instead of absolutely huge, and they can maybe still look to kind of bring it back. We have seen Gnomes become just a little bit complacent. Like you said, they tunnel visioned on defend. They lost 2 bodies there, only got 1 off of it, and even that could have been avoided there. So yes, Gnomes becoming a little bit complacent. They're like, okay, we got this. Map 1 or game 1 rather was easy. We can just run it down. But I think they're letting their guard down, and LCG can take advantage of that. Let's see. C-store though. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I remembered, I think I was talking to Index. I was talking to somebody on the side of Gnomes, and we were like jokingly talking like, oh, well, LCG have a great chance, depending on how hard the Gnomes throw. And he's like, yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I was like, oh, he's really doubling down on that statement I just said, half jokingly. But it's true. Like that round in particular, where they just kind of forgot about the other half of their attacking plan, it went swimmingly for LCG because they were able to, get 1v1 wins, and it came down to a literal one-on-one confrontation with Toxic having the upper hand there. So if we continue to see that in the second half, then it's going to be a bumpy ride for the Gnomes, 110%. However, last match was a 3-3 split, and this is still a favorable split here for the Gnomes, and it could have definitely been a 5-1. So if they just clap back immediately on their attack, then we're not going to really have a smooth sailing here for LCG, to say the least.
Yeah, you can also tell Gnomes are a little bit surprised at the map. If you just look, they say the yellow question mark. So I assume that is just like a shutter that opens when you. I don't actually know. I am confused.
I have zero idea.
I've not seen this. Yes, we're very inexperienced at the game. Sue us. Anyways, those green doors at the top of the map, moving on, they look very, very hard to both attack and defend because the window is there, which means as an attacker, you can really get those angles in. As a defender, you can't hold the actual doors. You can just kind of hold for people that enter, going for a red breach or a red door elsewhere may be the play here. It does look like they will do just that, though. I think most of Gnomes are going to the bottom side of the map. They'll probably breach Storefront. They have Reptar, who is known for his amazing sniping skills, and, he is on the Saber, so...
It works out for him here. Nog will start the charge. They just plug right on it. Flash is popping through. One checks the back right corner, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Not the end of the world, in all honesty. A big issue, though. Pablo will manage to shut down Lewis. That's massive. He still has control of Freezer, and now their hands are, for the most part, tied here. It is a 3-on-2, though. We'll have to see this played almost perfectly here by Pablo because he is in a do-or-die position for the most part. Index will swing on out. Flash or the information, though, and he's feeding Pablo 1-versus-1. Things are on completely because of that, and you have Admiral just playing behind the switch, just playing, just quite relaxed. He's calm here because he knows how much room he has to breathe, and he could even try to gather a sight line onto the bomb chassis to actually stop a defuse from happening, because that one little shutter here, a flash will be popped, and it's a bait defuse to try to force out Admiral early, but he's still just keeping his own. He has all this time to play with here. A long arm being attempted once again. They're just pedaling back and forth, essentially, really trying to force the hand of Admiral, but he's just not being granted a proper opportunity. So he'll have to find an opportunity by his lonesome, and somehow wins the 1 versus 2. The swing from the backside of Teller worked out for him.
I was gonna complain about how he still has a molly in the pocket that he's not using because that wastes 10 whole seconds, but he just swung and he got the double. Reptar should have been holding that, but he lost the gunfight, and then Nog also wasn't able to refrag that out. So, oh my god. I know I've said so many times today, I'll stop. Oh my god, LCG win another one, and they're just 1 round off of tying this up, and this is what we love to see, fellow. This is, you know, peak competition. They keep trading punches. Just when we thought LCG was out, they somehow come back, and they somehow start winning those rounds out once again, even if it is by the skin on their teeth. And they make it for 1 more round, and they will be on Kill House, where they can tie it up, or they can set themselves 1 match from match point and not further.
Now, what I'm wondering here is if you can try to long arm that defuse, because there's a really good sight line between Courtyard through both the blue windows for the bomb. So that's huge. You don't have to play directly inside this main hallway if you want to go for that. But the issue being, if you can long arm it, yeah, and I think a defender has actually realized that, being like, maybe we shouldn't, because you can probably long arm and you might not be able to wallbang right here. That's pretty iffy. So a lot of debate here and a lot of deep thinking done by LCG. And back on last round really quickly, I was trying to say this during the play-by-play moment, but I think it just kind of slipped out of my mouth at just the wrong time. LCG in that 1v2, they had to go for that play around, because the bait around that defuse was just really spot on by the Gnomes. They had a lot of time to work with, so they could just tick the diffuser a little bit, back off. Tick the diffuser a little bit, back off. They kept doing that, so you had to have the wraparound by Admiral, and he just picked the right moment to actually go for that play, and it just managed to work out for him. So like you and I both mentioned, a phenomenal round win for LCG. They're still keeping things, you know, competitively even for the time being, as we're still pretty ripe in the second half. And I feel like this map, or this tile set, is going to be a really big make or break between both these two teams.
Agreed. Just like kind of to add on to the map that you were talking about earlier, like I feel like this courtyard, whichever DPL player I talk to, they all hate this courtyard that is like super open with so many windows across, so many different angles, like usually dumb angles that you can get through. I feel like everyone just hates playing around this courtyard, at least from what I've heard. And it could be, I really want to see it utilized here. I really want the defenders to kind of find those angles and not let the attack punish them with the same angles. So I don't know, here's to hoping that happens, I guess.
Full eco, so I think they want to try to clear out these main areas of the map. They've got full control of reception. Foxy gets the first blood, but you've got Nog immediately to clap back. Flash gets tossed out along with a nade, but I don't think that broke any major utility here. But that second stun almost manages to catch one off guard. There goes the third, and it actually forces the volley to get misfired. And now Kuko is basically trapped between the fire and flames, caught on a reload as well. LCG basically just sent their own teammate to the grave. Pablo falls down as well, and no one's watching that back window area. They have to fight their demons head on. Reptar outside the blue window is just keeping them at bay, and it appears that the Gnomes have cleaned house here on the Kill House tile set, with going that full eco push worked out really well, because they just denied a lot of easy sight lines there for the defenders to hold off on. Really good stuff by the Gnomes.
Is it safe to say that LCG got gnomed? That was horrible. Okay, sorry everyone.
Yeah, we'll get better at it.
Yeah, like you said, it just, you know, LCG they were gaining some momentum. They won 2 rounds in a row. It was barely 1 rounds, but they still won the rounds. And now Gnomes, they seem to have like kind of really said, okay, let's clear comms. We've thrown 2 rounds already. We need to start winning this out. And that's what they did. And if they couldn't, you know, if they couldn't strategically beat LCG, they just sprinted at them and they just played refrags. Toxic got the entry, but got immediately refrag there. And it was just like frags and refrags coming out from Gnomes, and that is what really won them the round there. They just kind of overrun them Also, the Molly misfire, like you mentioned, was a huge detriment there because the person on the bomb, I think it was Kuko, could have kind of gotten a kill,
Yeah,
at least a large
or
chunks
fall
of
back.
damage with the Molly or fall back. But sadly, they mollied themselves and they lost their life. It happens. But we're back on
Yep.
bank. We are back on bank, and this time we could even see a mop in Tellus. You could see there's a lot of these long angles in lobby that you could really hold, even here from Lone Lake. You could get a few nasty angles. I want to see Toxic on the auto shotty again, but honestly, I don't think this is the map for it. If you will play auto shotty anywhere, you got to play it in the corner like Reptart does, obviously, more often. I don't think that's the play here. So yeah, one round loss for LCG, and they end up on not just game point but series point. So they gotta play this smart. They gotta play this careful. But they're still so far behind. They need to take a risk or two to get there.
Yeah, I also want to go back to the last round of we saw like 3 mollies wasted there on Kill House. Moving into the bank though, yeah, a lot is on the line here for LCG, and going into entrance is a really strong place here for the Gnomes. So I believe they're gonna need to probably have someone try to mop or just hold down a long angle in the back of tellers, like you mentioned, Boxy. I know you like to always talk about that because you're normally the guy who likes to mop there. And then I'm the guy who probably plays like near this like island back here and just tries to ego swing, which either gets you a free kill or I die. It's still pretty fun to do, even if it works or doesn't work. So we have LCG just playing around main entrance, not really holding lobby directly. They're just playing around that barbed wire and the switch itself. The only issue I have with that is that you lose a lot of map control, and we already get to see early aggression because of that. And if these 2 players inside of Lone end up dying, this could be very detrimental here for the defense.
Yeah, but with both how where the button is and how the followers are placed, if you open those, you really just need lobby and Lowe's control. You don't need to contest the upper part of the map. But Toxic just gets a double as Louis pushes through the mollies, and that's not looking good for Gnomes. Toxic, great entry, but Lind actually gets taken out by Raptard, and it's all coming apart for LCG. Once again, the lead that they've had, they're slowly but surely losing, and they need to compose themselves. They need to kind of say, okay, what are we trying to do here? Let's go step by step. Okay, first we need to go for button. Let's go for that. But Reptar swings and dies. El Pablo gets him. Index tries refragging, but Kuko's ready there on the angle with the Ingmar on the 90, and then Nog also dies on Toxic. That's a nice triple there. I'm so sorry. I was kind of lagging out. You could probably tell. But 4-5 for LCG. They're not done fighting. They're still trading punches with Gnomes. And just when you think that LCG are actually out for the count, Gnomes somehow pull it back. Or rather, not done pull it back. English hard.
Yeah, words are difficult. Grammar sucks.
Grammar sucks.
Yeah, how the hell did you manage to let Toxic get all those kills there? Like, there was no nade play, which I feel like I
There
know
was an
Melvin
aid.
talks about this a
There,
lot. You
there
should
was an aid.
almost there was a nade? Where the hell did it get thrown?
I'm 99% sure there was an 8 thrown at like the Lone's doors and got rid of a barb. I am 99% sure. I could
Okay.
be wrong. I could be delusional. That is definitely possible. But I think there
Yeah,
was
we'll
an
go
8 that was
back
thrown.
on that. For my point though, even if the nade was there, it didn't seem to be very effective. You should always value that nade like it's your lifeline, especially on bank, because a lot of barb gets placed on that map and there are a lot of
Yep.
choke points to deal with. And that allowed Toxic just to get freebies near
Mm-hmm.
the back double door. And then we had other bar placed near Loans, and that allowed the double stack up of the Igmar and the big AK player just to kind of have their heyday as well. It was just a lot of uh inept teamwork done by the Gnomes. Like, they got a lot of map control early on, but that's what LCG was playing for, and then they just kinda did their own thing, and it worked. There is some room to breathe, though. We're not gonna have a tie just yet because it is 4 to 5. We have a really big chance of the Gnomes bringing this back now on their defensive half. So, it's still a pretty big hill to climb here for LCG. It's just it could be done more effectively than probably envisioned because of that
I
last round win.
Agreed. I like the push they're going for. Like, if their lines on the map or anything to go by, they're going for both a freezer blow and an office push, and they really need to coordinate that. They need to push together. They need to work as one. They need to go for those refrags. And if this ends up working, it's going to be huge. They tie it up. It's going to be 5-5. They could even end up taking this game. But if anything goes wrong, as soon as they start dropping bodies and there's no refrags, it's over for LCG, and they find themselves at match point, and not the way that they'd want to. They'll be the ones that are in deficit. So this round is make or break for them, and they need to win it out. I like the idea of not going for storefront, just kind of doing something else, not something that maybe necessarily is expected of you. But like I said, if they play this wrong, it's pretty much over for them. I don't if they lose this round, I think they just lose initially. And Lewis is playing with the auto
Oh
shot. He gets the
no.
first one. That's great entry. Toxic falls. He actually runs out and somehow makes it back alive. It's all falling apart, but Kuko finds one of his own. Great refrag, if nothing else.
I feared that would happen, someone just running into green, completely unaware of Lewis's position with that full auto because there was no barbed wire.
Oh,
Luckily,
oh,
though, a barbed wire will
oh,
actually force him to die by the hands of
oh.
Pablo, so some sweet revenge favoring the attack, shockingly enough. Lind will now rotate all the way back around as well, inside of Office, but Freezer is the main point of contention, with some long angles being contested by Reptar. Lind will now rotate all the way around, trying to back up his teammate and just play for that man advantage because it is a 4 versus 1 and now 4v2 as Reptar will fall as well. Mace gets one onto Admiral, but is on very little HP and basically has to just utilize his natural cover to his best abilities to make sure he doesn't die and forces a 1 versus X for Index because unlike last round, the man advantage, or last time we saw Bank, sorry, it's not a very favorable position unless they
Oh,
win another gunfight here, and Mace actually does. We're back in a 1 versus 2 situation. This time, Gnomes are on the back burner, but we're basically in the exact same position that we saw last time this tile set was in play. This time around, though, Kuko, he's watching the cutoff angle because that was the big thing that helped his team actually win in the 1 versus 2, and even has a flashbang as well. He could try to fully blind Index, perhaps, and that could help in terms of actually defusing the bomb here. Time is still ticking, though.
yep.
30 seconds remain, and someone has to get aggressive. Index knows this, and he actually wins one confrontation,
Oh.
and the stun is not close enough to blind Index, and he
Oh
wins
my
both of them
God.
back to back. We're going to match point, Boxy, as Index is just simply built different.
How do you get away with that? How does that happen? How so many hows? LCG, you had that. You played that so well. You had Pablo get 3 kills. You should have and could have capitalized off of that. I honestly don't know how you lose that. And like I said, I did believe this round was a make or break for LCG. I think they just lose this now. There's no hopes of coming back. And keep in mind, even if they do win the 2 rounds that they need, they just tie this map and then or the game rather, and they need to win the next one to even go to an overtime game. So I think this is over. I think we can crown Gnomes the winners. I don't want to count LCG out, but they have given me very little choice. Oh my God, I'm frustrated.
Imagine we go to OT now, like we have a tie game, and then they
Oh my
win the
God.
next match. So it's like 1.5, 1.5. Do we have
Caster's
to play
Curse?
another match, like, if that
Yes.
happens? Oh my
Yes.
god, that'd be you might have just given us the worst caster curse to date, perhaps, but it hasn't happened yet,
Hey,
so
if
maybe we'll
that
have the Gnomes take this. They have a nade as well.
yeah.
Oh god, they have a
If
grenade.
that ends up happening on the first game of the 2022 Winter Major, I am all for it. If we see this comeback somehow
Yeah.
happen, I am all for it. You know, we're gonna be here for a long time, and our throats are gonna be sore tomorrow. But I do want that to happen. It's not gonna, but it would be nice if it did.
Yeah, that's, p possible. Nothing is impossible, I guess. It's just very unlikely. That's the key phrase for it. So it's very unlikely that LCG bring this back, but it is not impossible here. Almost have the preparation phase fully finished here. And it appears that we've got some ideology of maybe going into both club and reception at the same time, which I feel like that's kind of counterintuitive. You waste a charge for not a really good reason.
Ah,
So just going for a full eco would probably be the better idea here because there are a lot of really good positions to hold in club that you can just clear out from, back here. Like it does the same thing pretty much here. So I don't get the main purpose of holding, like, getting open that club door opened up unless you want to hold a really long angle, but that's like just a
right
bit
now,
odd in my
you're in
mind.
a do or die. If you lose, you lose. Might as well pull all the stops, bring all the utility you can. Because if you lose, it doesn't end up mattering anyways. It's just going to be a 7-4, and there's that. But also keep in mind, if LCG lose, which is becoming more and more likely, they are not out of the tournament yet. It's a double elimination bracket, so they will play at least another best of 3. It's not over for them yet, but obviously they lose the advantage they have right now. Right now they have 2 lives, but what a shot from Admiral Crunchberry onto Mace. That just may be the entry that LCG need. Let's see if they can capitalize off of that. They can, because Index just refrags that immediately. He ego swings and he wins. Keep in mind, there is a molly and a grenade in his pocket. So much pushing into Index, and they finally take him out with Toxic's Saber shots. 1 minute 30 left on the clock, and there's so much to do for LCG, but they are in the driver's seat at the moment, fellow.
Just watching the flank. The auto player is in a very risky position so far. Plenty of time being wasted. That grenade is still in the pocket of Nog as well. Reptar, nasty shot for, I believe, the blue window. And the flank is no longer being guarded. Lewis has found the perfect moment to go around here, and his teammates are wasting plenty of time. Big explosion goes down.
No!
Nog, though, gets zapped by the UAV. This flank is going to have to be make or break by Lewis. He's closing the distance. Down goes Toxic. It's just Lin left alive. A Molly in the forefront as well. That could give Raptor plenty of time to breathe and more room for Lewis to close the gap. But Lin will win that first 1v1. And now it's up to the Mop player to guarantee this game to be a victory. Playing all the way in the back, wrapping around the window, survives that first confrontation, and now forces Lin to play for time. But he has plenty seconds here to work this one out. Reptar has to go for the swing, but Lin full commits! Why would you do that against the Mop? He had plenty of time to rotate back around, and he'll do just that! 7-4 for the Gnomes. They'll take the series 2-0, and already the first loss will be gifted to LCG this evening.
What a great game. Oh my god. You know, there were so many mistakes that we've seen, but overall, such a great game, such a showing from both teams. And yes, the LCG did fall off, but I think that's what we all expect. We mentioned multiple times from the beginning of the stream how LCG were the underdogs. No one expected them to win. If they would have, it would have been huge. But you know, no real harm because they haven't won. But unless you have some closing thoughts on the match, we're quickly going to pull up the stats.
No, I feel like we should probably get in the stats as quickly as possible because they will tell a pretty good story about what we ended up seeing. Although I was a bit harsh to LCG on that last bit of the rounds, there wasn't a lot left for the lone player of Lin to do there, and also there were plenty of close rounds. So going up against one of the best teams, honestly, really good stuff to at least make it a pretty close fight in the first couple of halves.
All right. Who do you think top fragged on? I know you don't see the stats because they're blurry for you. Who do you think top fragged on LCG?
Probably Toxic.
Toxic was second.
Nope.
Lind was first. Yep.
Oh, that
well, there was
sense. Very good.
quite a big damage zap as well. Lind with 1400, and then Toxic at just under 12. Toxic did top frag in terms of kills. So he went 12-9 and 1, while Lind went 6-11 and 7. So he used the assist to clean up Master. But you know, it is what it is. On the other hand, we had Mace top fragging with 9-9 and 8, and almost actually over 1600 damage. Raptard second, Lewis third, Index fourth, and then Nog kind of fell off rather from the first map, but it didn't end up mattering. You know, a swift 7-3, 7-4, and that is how LCG are knocked down to the lower bracket. But I think we're also done with the stats. I think we just kind of quickly glanced over them, and we're actually going to bring in someone from Gnomes for a very quick impromptu interview.
Yeah, hopefully we can go and get that sorted out at some point.
Yeah,
we'll have to go find out who actually wants to do the interview. Which nobody.
We're getting Nog.
Ooh, okay, that's gonna be a fun one. All right.
Yeah,
that's pretty nice there. We could talk to him about the UAV incident then, because that was pretty funny. That actually almost costed them the 7-4 victory, but we're gonna have to take a little while to go and get that interview set up. So we'll go into a short little break. Nog is actually already joined the server, so maybe no break. We'll leave the stats up.
We're good.
Let everyone indulge on that information while we get him actually inside the Discord, because his audio will be public. We'll just have to transition a scene. That's it. So that's not too bad. Yeah, here we have it. Nog is joined us up here for the interview desk. Nog, how are you feeling after that first win?
Pretty good, I would say. I wasn't even supposed to play today, so pleasant surprise to get in there and do some gaming.
Yeah, we know. We spoke about that. You also second top frag on the first game. You kind of, at least damage-wise, fell off on the second one. But was there any difference on how they had you play on like the positions you had to play? Is that why your damage was lower, or was the first game just your game?
No, I just played bad the second game. I don't know.
Well, you won 7-3, 7-4. I don't think anyone in Gnomes really played bad. No one on LCG did either, to be completely honest. But congrats on the win. And
thank you.
Yeah, is there really? I don't know. What are your? You don't know who you're going up against next in the next round. Obviously, it's either gonna be NBC or Global Breakout. I guess you do know who you're going up
Yeah,
against.
we're going against
But
Global Breakout.
what are your thoughts on going against Global Breakout? Do you have anything
Um,
any thoughts going into that?
they're a pretty strong team, I would say.
Okay.
Um, pretty good from what I know. Uh,
Okay.
I think the boys are gonna do good. I think we have a chance, honestly. Their stats in scrims against GB have been looking good recently. It's not been a
Okay.
stomp every game, so I have hope.
Okay. And we can expect to keep seeing you play for Gnomes, I assume, especially after today.
Nope.
No.
I
Okay. Who
probably
then?
not. Scooge is supposed to be playing today, but
That's
you
fair.
know, he's a
Yeah.
sleepy boy. He needs his beauty sleep.
That's true. He's already
Fair
beautiful though.
enough.
I'm a Nog fan after today though, so I do
Oh,
hope to see you
thank you.
back.
Yeah, maybe I'll make a surprise appearance in the future when Scooge
Yeah.
sleeps in again and I call out of
Okay.
work to
Okay.
play.
Just one more. I know
Damn.
we're kind of jumping around, but just one more question. Do you remember the ugly factory that you had to play on the first round of the first game? Like the
Yeah, the
one
one
with
made by
toxic
Donut.
red. Yes, that one.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awful. That's an awful map.
what were the comms like when you loaded into the server and the first thing that you saw was the ugly factory? That's what we dubbed it, and that's what it's called now.
No swearing.
Most of us were like, "Oh, it's this map,"
Oh.
and that's pretty much it. We started
Okay.
planning after that, but I could tell we were miserable from the start.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. But at the end of the day, both teams had to play it, and we saw that like both teams, both you and LCG, kind of didn't bring anything but really the AP-25s and then a black tar and a smoke. Everyone kind of conserved both their explosives, their grenades, their smokes. Even was that like planned? Were you guys like, we don't really know what to do here, we don't want to waste our utility, or was it just the way the cookie crumbled? This fellow would say.
Uh, I don't know. We didn't really think blowing was good on that map specifically. We just wanted to go green, save it for the next maps. It
Okay,
was
that's fair.
it was all right. The map, I guess.
Okay, I know this
Hopefully we
info
never
was
play it again in tournament.
agreed. I also don't want to cast it again, but I know this was like all over the place. It was kind of last second, so sorry about that. Do you have any closing thoughts
No
before
worries.
we close this out?
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the interview. I guess. Hold on. I need to check stats to make sure I played better than Index second game. Yeah, okay. I played better second game than Index did first game, so not the worst performance on the team. Let's go. Not washed. All right, thank you. That's it.
Have a good rest of your day, Nog. Congrats on
You
your
as well.
win.
Have a good one.
All right, see you, man. All right.
Okay.
Well, all that being said, it's been an absolute blast getting to cast the first official Winter Major matchup with you, Laboxy. So we got the Foxy duo coming back in action here, and I think it went all right. Some minute issues, but you always have to expect issues coming in through the production side of things. That's always a given. It's a constant in life. Death, taxes, and a streamed match never going according to plan, no matter what. So, with that being said, we will get things wrapped in a way, and we'll be back in about an hour or so with another match going underway. But of course, before we do that, might as well plug ourselves a little bit. My Twitter is @FellTheCaster. Boxy's is This Is Boxy on Twitter, and also don't forget to check out the Due Process League on YouTube. It's the exact same name on the Twitch channel, except there are some spaces in there instead. But that's where we send all of our VODs, and also the Scuffed podcast is in that YouTube channel as well. So if you're interested in that extra content, feel free to give us a look there. And with that being said, also want to give a shout out to Akazo, and also Midship was here earlier. The Walrus was up top here as well in the booth to help us out with some technical stuff. So big shouts to them as well. And with all that being said, we will go into a break and be back at around 3 o'clock to get the next set of best of threes underway.